I'm Pastor George Borghardt, and this is another Higher Things video short. Today's video short is on the little word alone. We maintain that a man is justified before God by faith alone, apart from the works of the law. Alone. It's a nice word. It means by itself. Nothing else. Single, solo, solitary, sola, all by myself. It means to be something that something is exclusive. If there are two options, option A and option B, and it's not option A, then it must be option B exclusively or B alone. Now, where does this have to do with anything? In your discussions with some Roman Catholics and some evangelicals, you might have them sort of come at you and say that Luther added the word alone in Romans 3:28 in his translation of it. They'll say that Luther was naughty, and naughty is a technical theological term which means somebody did something they shouldn't do. Now, the way to deal with any discussion which pertains to your faith is with the scriptures. Paul, in the first two chapters of Romans, lays out an argument about how we haven't lived before God, how we lived for ourselves. He lays out a long list of things that we have and haven't done. And it concludes with, in chapter 3, that no one is righteous, not one, that no one fears God, not one person, that no one loves God as we should, that no one serves him. And his grand conclusion is that by works of the law, by what we do and don't do, shall no flesh be justified before God. Now, 3:21 tells of another righteousness. A righteousness has appeared apart from the law, but which the law and the prophets testify of. And this righteousness isn't by works or by merit or by doing anything. It is the righteousness that is received by faith, not by works, apart from works. Notice we've had two options up to this point, works and faith. And this righteousness from God, which saves, is not by works. It is by faith. Faith alone. To be justified is to be forgiven, to be claimed righteous before God. Apart from means not with works, saying that it is by works or partially by works or begins by faith and then ends with works or has a teeny bit, a Diet Coke, a 1 calorie of works is the wrong answer. It must be by faith alone. There is nothing else. Only faith justifies because only Jesus justifies. Only Jesus forgives us of the sins that we do and don't do. His holy life, his bitter sufferings and death, his death on the cross is the sacrifice that makes us acceptable to God. His cross alone saves us. So don't let your friends get their cassocks all in a bunch over the alone in Romans 3. Evangelicals don't wear cassocks, they wear suits and ties, but you know what I'm saying. You are not saved by what you do and don't do. You are not forgiven because of something you. That doesn't work with people, so why would it work with God? You cannot work your way out of the doghouse that you got yourself in with your boyfriend or girlfriend. They either forgive you by their mercy or they don't. The same with God. You are forgiven. You are justified by Jesus' death alone. That sacrifice makes you acceptable to God. And that is received by faith alone. It is exclusively faith alone, so that it might be exclusively by grace. That is, by grace alone. It is by faith, says Paul, so that it might be by grace. You don't earn forgiveness. It is given by Jesus, earned by his holy life and his bitter sufferings and death. And such faith alone, is the very righteousness by which we are counted righteous before God. By faith alone, that is, by Jesus alone, by grace alone, that's received by faith alone. And all of this, as you have noticed, is based upon Scripture alone. And I guess the only Lutheran thing to say is this is most certainly true. I'm Pastor George Borghardt, and this has been another Higher Things video short.